So excited to have you with us. I personally have always, been a big fan. To prove my loyalty to you that I'm not a Sandra person. Um, I was when I did Survivor Game Changers, I was on a tribe with JT, and I swear to God, like the fifth thing I said to JT was like, "Why didn't you vote for Parvati in Heroes versus Villains?"
That's right. That's the right thing to say to JT. What did
And
he
he said he
say?
was wrong. Said he was wrong, and that knowing what he knows now, he would have voted for you. So
Well, that's so funny because, first of all, thank you for that. And second, Dalton Ross just posted an excerpt of one of my chapters where I kind of broke down heroes versus villains and
mhm.
that double idol play. And JT's exit speech was like, don't ever, ever trust a woman. Every time. Like, oh my God. That is how people thought at that time. It was 2010, and the misogyny was just like rampant. And it was
Well,
right on the heels of the Black Widow Brigade.
this is a great place to jump off. First, is Dalton the Entertainment Weekly reporter who is so flagellated in your book?
I can't say. There are many Entertainment Weekly reporters.
And also, would you like me to beat Dalton up on your behalf?
No, my mom has already done that. Gail,
Phenomenal.
Gail Shallow took on Dalton Ross back in the day.
I got into Survivor. Actually, Cook Islands was my first season, but I watched it in 2010, right when sort of Heroes and Villains was airing. So I, played the catch up game, and even watching something from 2006 and 2010, reality television provides such a cultural time capsule of the time of what was acceptable. Cook Islands, obviously, like, let's divide the races and see how it works. Reading about the backlash you received on your first three seasons was so mystifying to me because I didn't watch it live. And for me, you were always mother. You were always God. Did the show ever reach out to you when you were experiencing all of the sexist backlash?
No, I don't know if your experience with CBS is the same as mine, but like it was really on me
Yeah.
to reach out and let them know. And I did. I reached out after season 16 and I was like, I'm not doing okay. Like I need
Yeah.
some support. And thankfully they did offer that. So they were like really helpful and supportive with therapy and stuff like that after I came back from 16.
Because what was so astounding to me was to read in your Traitors chapter that there was a wellness producer, and B, therapist check-ins during the season where you were allowed to express emotions that you didn't have to express on camera.
Yeah, it was really spectacular. The treatment that I received from Peacock and NBC doing Traitors was really, really incredible and mind-blowing. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had in, one of these productions.
It's almost like they like feed you and let you sleep in a bed. It's crazy.
Do that. It's crazy. Not that I could eat. I was way too stressed.
I also wonder that, we're seeing this resurgence of, because of the pandemic, of people watching Survivor. And I think particularly in the queer community, we're seeing new members coming all of the time. Has being claimed as mother, as Queen Parvati, as being so embraced by the queer community, has that helped heal any of those wounds from those early seasons?
Yeah, so much. I mean, it's like medicine for my younger self to hear those comments. Like really coming back from Traders, and I didn't know how the show was going to be edited or what storyline they were going to make with me. We really have no idea. You play the game, you give up the claim that you have to your own story, and whoever watched you play it out and wants to make a show out of, your behavior takes whatever footage and makes the story. So for me, it's like, okay, how do I like have any kind of control or how do I empower myself when I'm going into an arena where I have no control,
Yeah.
like of my narrative? So the only way I do that for me in these games is I just go out to win the game. I focus on I'm going to win this game. What does that look like to me? And for Survivor, it means like winning the game. For Traitors, it means going out and understanding the assignment. It's like campy, fun, drama, strategy light, but like Alan Cummings, the host. So
Yes.
I go out
Yes.
there and I like give up my control over my narrative, and then they own it. And like, where do you go from there?
Yeah. And it's so tough too, because not only do you give it up to, the producers, you give your life up to the other people you're out there with and how they respond to you. And so I played Game Changers with Sarah Lucina, who played phenomenal game, but it was making close relationships, making people feel really secure, and then voting them out. Which like I didn't have a problem with because I am of the generation of Survivor player where we're playing Monopoly, right? We're voting each other out and then we're going to shake hands afterwards. But so many people really felt deeply offended by the way she played the game. And I wonder like why do players feel so much more offended when a woman votes them out of the game than when a hard playing man votes them out of the game?
It just speaks to culture. It really does. I think a lot of people, it's like they want a mommy. They see a woman and they project all of their unresolved mommy issues onto her, regardless. Or the ex-girlfriend who hurt them in high school, or the friend, whatever. Like, there's a lot of projections that get put on women. And when we're not playing the role that we were supposed to play, which is you're kind, you're weaker than me. I am like, as a man, men are supposed to take care of women because we're weaker and like more frail and fragile. So if a woman is standing in her power and now manipulating a man or taking advantage of that, it's like, I think it stings more because of what we have been taught as men and women, which like box we're supposed to stay in and what behavior is good and what's bad. And if a woman is taking advantage of a man, then she's bad and like should be punished. And I think it goes back to like original sin with the Bible and Eve. It's like, this is what we're spoon fed from early childhood. So it is some brainwashing that we've all sort of accepted. And it's very difficult to step out of that and see anything, I think, beyond that, especially when you're in a game that's so fraught with feelings and emotions and uncertainty and challenge. It's like whenever we're put into an arena of uncertainty, I think we just reach for like any kind of control that we can get. And for that situation, it's like, oh, you hurt my feelings. Like, I'm going to get you back. That kind of was the mode
Yeah, mommy betrayed
I was in.
me. You know,
Yeah, like
that's such a
mommy didn't,
deep wound.
she didn't pick me. She was late picking me up from school, and I've never gotten over it. It's like, go to therapy, bro.
When you were out there on Cook Islands playing the first time, did it feel like being back at the ranch between the love bombing and the sort of guru figure of Probst and tribal council and the adrenaline highs?
You know what? I didn't have the awareness to make the connection then, but I will say it felt familiar. Like being out on Cook Islands was like, this feels comfortable to me and familiar. And that is because of my upbringing. And I grew up on a commune in Florida, running around barefoot in the woods. Survivor is so similar to that.
Yeah. Did you, after your family finally left the ranch, did you talk about what happened? Or
Not
did you
really.
just sort of, we're in survivor mode, we're putting that there, we were focused on moving forward?
Yeah, and I talked about this in the book because it was an important point for me, and it's something I grapple with as a mom now. It's like, how do you talk to your kids about something that's really hard and scary that you've gone through, but you're still kind of working through it?
Yeah.
It's like my parents, we left the commune when I was 9 years old for good. And at that point, it was sort of a guillotine moment where that old life didn't exist. Now we're moving into this new life. And my parents were full on in survival mode. They didn't have a community, they didn't have friends, they didn't have money. They were just having to rebuild a life from scratch with two young kids. And my sister and I were in this culture that was wildly unfamiliar. We came from like yoga commune where everyone was vegetarian to inner city Marietta, Georgia, where like I heard music, pop culture, like pop music for the first time, and like hip hop and R&B, and I was like, this is amazing. What is this? It was really a whole new world for us. So I think everyone was just kind of focused on moving forward, which did become an established pattern for me in my life, which is how I got to my 40s and in the midst of a divorce, looking at my life and the shambles of what I'd created and being like, how did I get here? So I had to go back and revisit my childhood. That's when I talked to my parents about, the commune and our upbringing. But before then, we didn't talk about it.
Did that spirituality carry on at all in your family after you left the ranch? Because yoga has obviously played such an important role in your life, and sort of Hindu related spiritual practices and healing practices are what you continue to rely on and utilize today.
Yeah, no. My mom was going to school for electrical engineering, and my dad was working as a math teacher at a high school. And my sister and I were just trying to be normal. And the normal mode of spirituality or religion, really, I'll say, in the South, in Georgia, where we moved to, is Christianity, Presbyterian churches. A lot of my friends in middle school and high school were deeply Christian, and they would go to these mega churches in Marietta and Atlanta where the people who are playing music are like rock stars. So there was a lot of that sort of cult like kind of worship, sort of elevating the leaders of the church to these guru statuses.
Mm-hmm.
That felt familiar. I loved singing in the churches. That felt familiar because we did a lot of chanting mantra where I grew up on the commune. So it wasn't necessarily the same practice or the same religion or spirituality that I was practicing or doing, but the feeling of being in community and
It's,
praising or
it's the same modes of
acknowledging,
religious expression.
yeah,
Yeah.
like connecting with this divine creative life force. And it felt really uplifting. It felt really good to me, but I didn't become necessarily Christian. I wasn't necessarily Hindu when I grew up, but like the yoga, the practice of yoga, I always reached for that feeling.
There is such a powerful image later in the book of you in a parking lot of Ponce City Market in Atlanta, standing down a huge pickup truck full of like angry men yelling at you because you're like, I've had it. I'm not gonna let these types of people run my life anymore. First of all, I would kill for a video. Uh and second is like what's going through your mind as you're standing down this truck full of angry men?
I was full of white hot rage.
Yeah.
I had just, I mean, this is one of my favorite scenes from the book. And I learned how to write a book as I was writing a book. Like my writing coach, Sarah Harrington, lives in New York, and we would Zoom every week, and she would teach me how to write scenes with dialogue. And like you just start in the middle of the action. So writing that story, I felt it in my body as I'm writing it. You probably felt it as you were reading it. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of a cathartic release to just be able to be like, no, I'm not going to let you s- do this injustice. And it was a parking spot, but I was so hungry. I was like starving and angry and overwhelmed. And had just come back from playing Winners at War
Right.
with a baby that I had to take care of and a marriage that wasn't working. And I was like, I'm not going to let you run me over. So if you want this parking spot, you actually are going to have
To
to
kill me.
kill me for it.
That sounds like peak survivor PTSD, but in a beautiful kind of way. Um, so for me, that moment, it really mirrors this other moment, which is when you're holding May's hand in public for the first time and you realize, like, oh, I'm not just holding someone's hand. This means I'm being seen as queer. And that means it changes how the rest of the world sees and treats me. But then you don't pull back. And I feel like for me, there's such a beautiful like connection between those two moments.
I also related that moment with May to becoming a new mother because it felt so similar to that. I felt like I was like really being asked to transform and to say yes to something that would require me to change molecularly, like the structure of who I perceive myself to be, what my identity is. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lean into this and I'm gonna say yes to this. People are gonna see me differently. And can I handle that? And my answer is yes. It was just a pivotal moment of transformation being out in the world with me because we came from the bedroom and the safety and the bubble of the bedroom to then being out in the world for others to judge and have their opinions. And I was like, oh my God, that to me felt inherently risky. And I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I think that's what our lives are made of, is these moments where we're asked to say yes to the thing that makes us true to ourselves. And sometimes doing that, we could lose things
Yeah.
that we've leaned on for acceptance or safety or whatever. My sense of safety, my validation, and my respect for myself is now coming from the inside. And I no longer need all of that to come to me from the outside, which was really, that's the whole message of the book.
How do you think critics and historians will measure your book against the Boston Rob rule book?
Oof. Oh. Boston Rob is actually one of my first readers of Nice Girls Don't Win. I know. He reads. He does the man does it all.
He reads, he counts, he does puzzles. He carries his family literally on his back.
Yeah. And his tribe.
No.
He's like so good in challenges, that guy. Yeah, it's gonna be a tight race, but I know that Rob is he's a fan of Nice Girls Don't Win. He's one of my OG supporters. So I don't want to compete with Rob. I want us to be on the same team.
Well, I have to say, the book is phenomenal. I was really touched, really connected to a lot of it, and explaining sort of the, kind of what we go through when we go home and we have everybody, yammering at us, and also sort of like the wounds that we create amongst each other as players. It was really powerful for me. I think you're a phenomenal writer. I know a book is such a labor of love, but if there's a second one in the mix, count me pre-ordered already. So what is up next for you? I know we've got Australian Survivor.
Yes. Australian Survivor will air in August. I'm doing these drag shows that are super fun. I'm going to be doing one in New York on July 8th, the same day that my book launches. So that'll be a really fun party. And beyond that, I'm pitching some shows. So I'm developing some shows, some new reality competition shows, and executive producing those and hosting those. So we're looking to sell some new big shows and kind of transition into that role of creator rather than
Parvati
contestant.
producer Parvati.
Exactly. Yeah. Moving beyond contestant. I think I've done my time, Zeke.
After reading your book, I am so surprised you said yes for heroes, villains. I guess Winners at War sort of made sense, but then I was like, I can't believe she said yes to Dondi. But I mean, anything that would put me next to Joe Manganiello, I would probably say yes to as well.
Oh, true. Magic Mike, Joe, give it to me.
Ooh, thank you so much for being with us. The book is Nice Girls Don't Win. It is available on July 8th, wherever books are sold. Order it now.
Order it
And
now. Get
yeah,
your copy in the mail the day that it comes out. And there's
exactly.
signed copies available too. If people want a signed copy, they can go to the link in my Instagram bio.
And you're doing some book events, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So
Mhm.
go to Parvati's website to check out those events and come meet Parvati in person. And be
Yeah. The site
nice.
for the book is parvatishallowbook.com.
All right.
Be nice or don't be nice.
But don't come to say mean things to you.
Read things to me and see how I react. See if I will really be a nice girl or not. You know what? Look to her, I'm like, I am being really like there's a difference between being nice and being kind. And the night, like the whole title of the book, Nice Girls Don't Win, is because sometimes people are nice at the expense of their truth. So
Right.
what I'm encouraging is people to be true and authentic to themselves. Sometimes that means not being nice. My daughter hates the title. She thinks nice girls do win. So
Well, I feel like nice is such a nice girl specifically is such a time and cultural specific phrase that like we grew up with, like be a nice girl, nobody likes a girl who talks too much, nobody likes a girl who can beat the boys, whatever. I feel like that's
right.
the nice girl you're talking about.
That's right.